This is Michelle Powers with Angel Messages, the only podcast sharing direct messages from angels. And today I have my friend Jason on, and he is just a free thinker and just an open-minded guy, and you just have so many amazing questions. So I'm excited to talk to you today and hear your questions for me.
Thank you. I appreciate. I'm a really curious guy, and I have a lot of questions I want to ask you that I think hopefully will be able to benefit everyone out there. So thanks for this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
When I first met you, Michelle, it was interesting because everything that Tom had told me, our mutual friend Tom, it just rung true. I'm like, yeah, I gotta meet her. This is amazing. And so I don't think I'd met you until a couple years later after he first initially had mentioned you and the gift that you've been given. And so once I met you, it was like, wow, this is just kind of felt natural. I felt like I've met you, I'd known you for years.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things I wanted to throw out there is that what you're doing is, I believe, is such a service to all mankind, all different faiths, walks of life, backgrounds. I mean, it's meant to be able to help you or whoever is listening to become the best version of themselves. And so, again, I've had a lot of questions myself, but a lot of it's just kind of rung true. And when we have conversations, it seems like, yeah, I believe that. I believe that. That's cool. And so it's fun to hear you explain how you've helped other people, and you've helped some of my close family members in great ways, and to hear their descriptions of how it's helped. I'm like, yeah, I told you. That's awesome. So I'm so glad you've enjoyed meeting with her.
Yeah.
So I guess let's start off from the top. If I were to ask I've always wanted to ask you this question. Let's say you were in a layover at the airport. You're connecting with a fellow traveler, and the layover flight's been delayed 4 hours. So you start talking with this guy from Jersey. You guys are both headed up to Hawaii or wherever, and it's all about him at first, and you're good about engaging people, and you guys connected. But then he sits back and said, "Oh, Michelle, it's all about me. This whole thing's about me. What do you do?"
Yeah.
How would you describe that? What do you do to somebody that you just connected with?
Okay, well, I actually had that recently happen, so that's so funny that you asked that, because usually people aren't straight and to the point, or I don't know, I guess that's never happened to me, where someone was like, didn't really know me and asked me, like, what do you do? And someone did ask me, and I said, well, I've been a life coach kind of for like 8 years, but never really had like an exact title for a long time, because it was more of like a spiritual life coach, because everything I do is based on spirituality. And I said, when I was talking to this guy, I said, it's because of my gifts that I've had since I was little. And he's like, what kind of gifts do you have? And I'm like, well, I've just been very sensitive to the spirit realm, and I've been very sensitive to angels, spirits, like whatever you want to call them, but just spirits, And he was like, okay, that's kind of weird, He didn't like know, but he was trying to just apply that to what he knew or what he understood. And we only talked for a few minutes, but I could tell he was like putting that into his own bubble and like putting together the pieces, like what his experiences were with like spirituality, And he's like, I'm not spiritual, so I don't that's cool, but I don't get spirituality, And none of that stuff really makes sense to me. He's like, but that's cool. And so I think, that's how I've kind of explained that to people when I've had that opportunity to share what I do. But
so there's not been like an elevator pitch story that you have that you can throw out there. It's kind of you kind of have to deliver it based off that situation, who that person is.
Yeah.
So that being said, let's say now I'm on a park bench in New York, and you're talking, let's say I'm an atheist. How would you deliver what you do, to an atheist versus a Buddhist versus someone from a Christian denomination? Is it all the same?
Yeah, because I think growing up, I tried, my messages were always very non-denominational anyways. And I remember friends of mine asking me, well, don't you want to kind of apply that to how you've been raised or what your beliefs are? And I just always kept things broader than that, you know? And I would just say, I believe that the people around us are our loved ones, and the reason why I believe that is because they tell me that, you know, and I can feel them and I can see them and I hear their messages all the time, but I never put it in like a religious bubble, you know, per se. And even when I was younger, I'd even say, when I would speak about God, I said, that's what I believe. I believe in God, but, you know, if you believe that there's another title for God, you know, that's how you were raised. And I never wanted to force my opinions on someone else or my beliefs. I wanted them to share what they believed, because I feel like we're here to learn from each other, you know.
That's awesome, because that's one thing I've always noticed is, like, obviously I grew up in the Mormon church. I'm practicing Mormon, and I'm looking through life through those lenses, right? But I've also tried to see, as I've connected with others with other different faiths, that your gift can help anybody from any different background, religious background, spiritual background, whatever it may be. Has there been, you have an example where that's helped you, that you've been able to help somebody from A to B? And and the second part of the question is, like, has there been somebody that has been hard for you to help because of a particular belief?
I would say that the people that are the hardest for me to help are the ones that are very, very structured and there's no wiggle room in their belief system, you know, or what they believe. It's just very black and white. The ones that are more free thinking, the ones that are more like, you know, I'm willing to learn from everyone and everything, and those are the people that are the easiest to just talk with and share messages with, you know, because they're open-minded and they're willing to just learn and process things and share what they believe, and there's not all the fear and the structure around like our discussions, you know. It's just like they're just more open. And so the ones that have been raised where it's like this and this and this and this needs to happen for you to have happiness, you know, that there's more fear and there's things holding them back from actually just speaking their truth and sharing their heart. So, does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Let's say you have somebody that gets confrontational about it. I mean, I know that you're such a being of light and of love, but I'm curious how you would handle that. Someone's like, "Oh man, you're part of the occult, or that's, you know, you're a witch, or whatever." I don't want to see it, but part of me would like, you know, to be the fly in the wall. How would you?
Well, I had one person who, so it was a mother and a son that came, you know, and we were talking, and you know, at the end of our experience, I said, this is so fascinating, and I actually, like, I want to share this experience. I'll never use your name, but I want to share this experience because it was so fascinating that the mom kind of drug her son in to, like, come talk to me, and he did not. He was like, I think it's weird, I don't really know. And he ended up just, like, you know, at the beginning being completely closed off, not willing to talk about anything. And even towards the middle, he was like, like, none of this is, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. There's so much that I've been taught, like, not to talk about these things, and I don't really know, like, if this is okay, you know? And so I said, I totally honor and respect you where you're at and what you believe in and what you're processing right now, but just try to be open-minded for a few minutes and just, you know, and share with me what you're feeling and what you're thinking, you know? And so I shared with them, like, their loved ones that I could feel, or, you know, the things I could sense going on with them. And that was like, when I meet with someone, I'm connecting to their spirit, I'm connecting to people that are with them, angels that are with them, and just messages that are coming through, and sometimes it's not specific, like from a specific person, but they're just messages. And so I saw that he was still like really resistant, and then finally towards the end, he just totally took a deep breath and was like, okay, I'm just totally just letting this in, you know? And so he just like, I'm just gonna tell you this is what I'm feeling, and we just like connected for the first time, and he was processing all of these things and sharing what he was really feeling and what he's thought his whole life. But he told me at the end, he's like, I've never given myself permission to like go there or to just go beyond what I've been told to do, you know?
Why did you think?
He said there were so many rules, and he had given himself some of those rules, but he also grew up with a lot of rules and structure, like don't go beyond this, don't think beyond that. Just, he says, I wasn't like a free thinker, and I was kind of taught that in my home to just, this is how it is, you know? And so I just watched him take it all in and then share his heart, and things that he had to say didn't completely jive with what I believe, and things that I had to say didn't jive with what he believed completely, but like for a moment we were on the same plane, and we were able to just love and accept whatever he believed and whatever I believed. And we both came away with so much like peace in our heart. We both felt it. And the mother said like that was the first time she had seen him just embrace life and not have so much fear, and yeah, he's able to just let go.
Do you think that was partly a personality thing?
Maybe.
Or a faith-based thing?
Probably
or
both.
A little bit of both?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can I ask what faith he came from and how old he was, or is that prying too much?
That might be.
Okay.
I just told him that. Yeah.
Fair enough. I got the warning there. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting to me because that's one thing I've always noticed with how I was raised, is that God wants you to think. He wants you to connect. He wants you to explore your gifts and how you might be able to elevate your life, elevate the lives of others, bring people more love. So it's interesting that some people are taught, well, you're only supposed to think this way because that's the only way that God will allow you to show love.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that's the case. And that sounds like it's awesome that you were able to help somebody that was completely opposite of maybe your belief system.
Yeah.
How would this help maybe somebody that doesn't have a belief in God? How is your gift, if someone's doesn't believe in God at all, or a higher power, or angels, they weren't raised that way, they don't believe that way, or maybe they were raised and they decided, phooey on this?
Well, from my experiences, every single person, even if they didn't believe in God, if they didn't have, there's not a whole lot of spirituality going on in their life, you know, they still had, we're able to still have a conversation about being a spiritual being, you know, that there was, you know, one person I talked to said, I'm a being of light, and I feel like I came here, or I'm here, and I have a mission. And I think most people believe that we are spiritual beings. We're here to have this experience, and the people we're surrounded with are having an experience that we can learn from their experience, they can learn from ours, but we're all here trying to become better and learn and grow from each other. That's hopefully something we're all trying to do. But I think bottom line, most people that I have a discussion with agree that we're spiritual beings at some level.
Okay. Switching topics, do you think there are certain things that you do as with your gift to help foster that gift that others might be able to do to help them become closer to a higher power? So, I mean, whatever, I'm just throwing things out there. I wake up and I read this, and I have mantra, I have meditation, yoga, or whatever it is. I'm curious what a morning is like for Michelle Powers, you know?
Okay.
Do you eat something special that helps you?
So, yeah, I have a morning, on a perfect morning, on a perfect morning for me, I wake up, before I even get out of bed, I connect. And my focus is just to connect to God. And
how do you do that?
And through prayer, I just pray and I connect, and I in my mind just picture that light like connecting us, and I feel the love, and I ask for love to surround me, and I want to feel my loved ones with me, and I want love to like radiate from me. Like that's my first thought in my mind, is just love and just connection. And I try to avoid my phone as long as possible because it's such a huge distraction. I try to disconnect from that world as long as I can, and I just have this like little corner in my bedroom where I do yoga and I pray and I write. I have a journal where I just write anything that's coming through, so messages that are coming through. And I teach a lot of people to do this because I feel like the morning we're still so connected in the morning when we wake up, because when we go to sleep at night, it's like our spirit is set free. You know, all those limitations are gone, and all the rules and all the things that are holding us back from just living a full life. I feel like we let those guards down, and our spirit just connects, and our spirit can just be free. And so I feel like when we wake up in the morning, we're still like in that space. And for me, it's called a thin place where we're in between worlds, or we're still connected to heaven and we're here on earth, because our spirit is we're always connected to heaven, but sometimes we cut ourselves off from really being connected or fully being connected. And then I'll sit and pray and just sit in that feeling, and then receive messages. And I don't let anything hold me back from receiving those messages. Because I don't edit anything. You know what I'm saying? Anything that's coming through, I write it down. Any images I see in my mind, I write it down. Any family member that I feel like is coming through, or that I just feel there with me, I write that down. And any messages that I feel like I'm hearing or seeing in my mind, sometimes I'll see messages, I'll write those down. And for a long time, I edited everything. I would think, well, I don't know if I should write that down. I'm not even
give me an example?
fully
You
aware.
get me curious now.
So, for instance,
you're editing right now.
Yeah, I'm editing right now. I'm editing right now. It's true. So yesterday, I'm sitting down and I'm meditating and I'm praying, and the messages that were coming through were, let go of fear, let go of fear, let go of fear. Any fear that's holding you back from doing your mission here. And I was thinking of all the fear, all the things that are holding me back. And there's a lot of things holding me back. And so I was writing down all of those things, and writing down, you know, I'm dealing with a lot of fear in my life. And fear controls a lot of people, probably most people. I mean, fear is something that is just a part of our life here,
oh, yeah.
You know?
It's like, we were just talking about that, like fear versus love, the scarcity versus abundance mentality, and based off of our experience, like in America, it's like a lot of scarcity and fear. Yeah. So it makes me feel I'm not good, but you're a human being like us all, but obviously there's some sort of resistance against trying to push against what you're doing. And I've cut you off, so tell me how you overcome that.
So I think it's a daily thing when you're trying to overcome any challenge in your life. But for me, I'm trying to focus on living a fuller life and letting go of fear, and figuring out how to do that. You know, how do I make better decisions every day that help me release those fears? You know, what can I do to just release that fear that is controlling me or that is a part of my life, you know? And some of it is that I worry so much about offending people, and that sometimes I don't speak my truth because I want to just not offend someone.
Because it's not politically correct. Or I'm glad you brought that up, because we live in such a society where we're like, it's almost like we're afraid to speak our truth and be who we are, and feel 100% confident that, yeah, I believe this, and I'm going to put it out there, because we're afraid of hurting or offending somebody else, which is the scarcity thing, right? The fear versus loving something so much and saying, I want to share this, and the people that it connects, that can connect the dots and will help them, bring them closer to God or higher power. Oftentimes, we kind of dismiss that last part, which is the most important part, and, well, I don't want to offend Susan, because if I say this, I mean, so how do you deal with that? How would you deal with it, and how do you suggest a lot of us deal with that? Because I think we could all be happier and have more fuller lives, and we would be engaged in things that bring us more joy, which I think our Creator wants us to be part of. But we kind of sell ourselves short oftentimes because of fear. So how do we do this? There's got to be some magic bullet, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, something that I've learned from the spirit world that's so powerful is that when they cross over into the spirit world, they learn that they are not here, they weren't there, or they weren't here on the earth, and they're not there on the other side to judge their loved ones here. They're not in a place of judgment. They tell me often, God is the judge, and we're here to love. We're here to love. And then God is a God of unconditional love. So we have this God that has unconditional love for us, but then our loved ones are just learning from us and learning from our experiences and learning how to have more unconditional love for us and understand us more. And I think if we look at other people with more unconditional love and less judgment, then that is the only way we're going to be able to really move forward and progress as human beings, is just to set all of our judgments aside and just love and really care about people and not judge everything that they have to say or everything that they're doing in their life.
So this is a good question, because we all have these people that are in our families that often we're supposed to love, but this dad, mom, brother, cousin, or whatever, drives me batty. But you're saying just to love them. How do you suggest loving them? Because human beings were upset because they've done X, Y, or Z, or they just annoy us, or whatever it may be. How do you grow into, like, okay, I'm annoyed, this guy pisses me off, I don't want to deal with him, to, okay, I love you now? How do you bridge that gap? Do you fake it till you make it? Because
I think sometimes you do have to separate yourself from people. And for me, when I've been in those situations, physically I have to separate myself from those people because they're bringing like my energy down. And so for me, I'm continually praying for them, and my intention is that they're feeling my love, and then I'm just feeling their love. Like, I ask for angels to surround me, and protect my space, so that only love is like going to other people, and I'm only receiving love from other people. So I'm not taking on their stuff, because I'm an empath, so I take on a lot of stuff. I feel things that other people are feeling, and I take on
that's gotta be tough.
their issues and their worries, and and so, but when I set those strong intentions, especially with people I'm having issues with, the intention is that they're only feeling love from me and not my frustrations, and I'm only feeling their love. for me in return. And that's the only energy I want to take on, the only energy I want to give off. And sometimes I need like a physical separation from people until we're on like a better playing field, or they're in a different place and we can be around each other.
I don't know if this is where we're going to go, but I'm going to go there. So this is brought up, I've noticed this in my life, and everybody has different kind of frequencies and or vibrations they operate on, and you're like, oh, that guy is always positive, he's happy. Oh, that person, that dude or that gal is always like down in the dumps. And how would you recommend that person that's always down in the dumps that we all happen to have, we're friends with, right? Mm-hmm. And you feel like you want to be there for them, but you mentioned something about you're protecting yourself of like sending out love, bringing out love. You want to be a well, you know, mm-hmm. You don't want to be a drain, right? Yeah. So how do you protect yourself, be there for that Eeyore or whatever you, and this Eeyore, I'm not minimizing the Eeyores of our life, because this is a second part question about they may be just dealing with depression or whatever, mm-hmm. right? Or mm-hmm. any myriad of different mental health issues or just in a funk. Yeah. How do you protect yourself, be there for them, and be a true a source of unconditional love to help them without getting sucked down into the world of their low wherever they're vibrating, you can call whatever it is, you know. Yeah. Being into that funk. How do you protect while giving that love?
So something that has literally changed my life when I'm in those situations with people, and I've seen this happen over and over and over in my life, and when I've suggested other people to do this. And that is to connect with that person's spirit. And you don't pray, there's no ritual, there's nothing you need to do specifically. But the bottom line is that we're spiritual beings, every single one of us, and our loved ones that crossed over, they're spiritual beings. I mean, we're at our core, we're spiritual beings. But we can connect spirit to spirit. We can even connect to those people that are here that we're struggling with. There's a struggle in our relationship. So you can connect to anyone, anyone, even someone that's crossed over or someone that's here. And your intentions can just be to connect to that person and speak to them. And I will just think of that person. And in my mind, I'll just have a really open, honest conversation with them. And I'll say everything that's on my mind. And I'll say, you know, these are my frustrations. These are the things that I'm struggling with. I wish I could help you. You know, I just want you to know I'm here for you. This is where I wish we could be. This is where I wish our relationship could be. But I just want you to have peace and happiness, and I want you to find a way to find joy and fulfillment in your own life, you know? And I set those intentions, and I open that doorway of communication, and somehow, some way, maybe it's through faith, maybe it's through just having that connection, because connection is so important. It's one of the most important things that we're here doing, is just connecting with people. It changes the frequency, it changes the energy between you and that person. And there'll just be a shift. And I think it's love. I think it's love that you reached out to them. Their spirit knows truth, your spirit knows truth. And so to just open up that doorway of communication, it completely changes things between you and that other person. And the next time you're together, you'll feel it. There'll just be a shift. And you don't even need to talk about it. You don't even need to bring it up, but it's just something that's so important to do, because we are spiritual beings and we need that connection.
You know what? I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that because I read in some, I don't know if it was a Brene Brown book or something, that where if you're having just dark thoughts, you know, thoughts of, you could fill in the blank of all the dark thoughts or things that you shouldn't be thinking about. They're not bringing you up. Instead of like, she brought up like, it's a weird thing that we do as human beings, but even like we look at we kind of, this is self-sabotage. We look at our family, and then it's such a wonderful thing, and then all of a sudden we think of what if they were just hit by that bus, I'm like, why would we think that? You know, it's like something that we do.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's a natural thing we do, and then it just gets worse, and you get dragged down into that mire. And I've noticed that, I think she made the suggestion of just saying gratitude. Gratitude. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for them. And so it shifts, like you were saying.
Totally
it shifts
does.
like, I could have gone down this wormhole, this rabbit hole of not good, and it was like all of a sudden elevated. So I was here, and I could have gone down here. I didn't say status quo. I said gratitude and started thinking grateful thoughts and practicing gratitude, and all of a sudden it bumped it up.
Yeah.
So what you're saying,
huge.
If I'm asking the question, if I have a brother-in-law, a father, a mother, a friend, kid, right? We all have that before, where you just like want to wring their neck. Instead of going down that road, you just say, set the intent of, I want to connect with dad, brother.
And be really honest. Honesty is like the key to that, because
I'm gonna try that today.
do it, and you'll feel a difference. I promise. You just do.
I'm excited to.
Because your spirits will connect. Truth is truth, and they have their truth, but their spirit. I mean, at our core, we all want a connection. That's why we're here. There's the thing that brings us sadness is separation, and depression is, I think, the core of that is separation, when we feel separated from someone or disconnected from something or someone. But when we're connected, like that's what we're searching for, is feeling connected and feeling love. And we're all searching for love. And so if we can do that, if we can just connect to that person and be really open and honest and tell them everything that we want to say, and tell them why you're grateful for them and why you're frustrated with them, and where you wish your relationship would be, and what hopes and dreams you have for them. It just opens up that doorway. And yeah, gratitude is the highest frequency, or one of the, I mean, there's a lot of words that are like, that have those high frequency, that high frequency energy, but gratitude is huge. When you just think of that word, it shifts your energy. It can shift your whole body's energy.
I saw that it's similar, so I will try that today. So you're not saying necessarily to avoid the confrontation, but or avoid talking about what bothers you, but if you feel like you need to have a conversation that something X, Y, or Z is bothering me, set the intent beforehand to connect, and your message will be done the right way.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna take your challenge there. I had another question here that I said I wanted to unpack earlier. In the world of mental illness, I have a lot of that in my family, and I've seen how and a lot of friends that are suffering from it, and I don't want to minimize that at all. I have my own mental illness. I have ADD, and I guess I'm grateful for that one versus some of the others. I'm like, I wouldn't trade that one for that one, you know. But how do you recommend, if anybody's watching that has a mental illness, how do you recommend, or if you have any message for them that might be able to give them hope and realize that, this is me projecting, but maybe there's a reason why they have that, and their loved ones are there for them. I don't know. Can you speak to that?
Yes. I believe that those of us, I mean, we've just come up with these labels, right? I mean, and names for things. But for me, people that have these struggles or these what we call illnesses, these beings are really elevated beings that are really connected, and they have been given these challenges, but really it's helping them to connect on a deeper level to things that they wouldn't have unless they had these challenges in their life, because these challenges are bringing things out of them that maybe wouldn't be, out on the surface, And for instance, I'm just thinking of one of my best friends. Her daughter was born with a really rare disease that there's only like 10 in the world. And she can't verbally speak, and she can't even physically move. And so she's, you know, she's just in a wheelchair, and but every time I'm with her, like, the most overwhelming love is just pouring out of her. And she is here, her mission here is to teach others how to just give unconditional love by just being. And that's who she is, and everyone that's around her can feel it. You can ask my husband, like, you just get around her and you're just like, wow, she's amazing. And I think anyone with a handicap or illness or whatever you want to call it, we're here with these really specific gifts to share with people, and they just come in different packages, you know. And I wish we could strip away all the labels and just really just say, you know, who you are and what you have to offer, because we just have these incredible gifts, and sometimes we use these labels to separate ourselves, but really it's like I don't know, I just wish we could talk more openly about how these things have actually blessed us to do incredible things in our life.
So, do you have any examples of someone that you've been able to perhaps help that has an issue with depression, anxiety, or fill in the blank? Because, you know, I play devil's advocate. Yeah, they're labels, but the reality is that some people, that me included, I mean, my brain works like it's wired differently than someone who is quote unquote normal, right?
Right.
And it's a reality. It's a physiological reality for me that I have a hard time concentrating on things and focusing on things. It's also a physiological reality for folks who have depression and anxiety. So how have you seen angels help? Do you have an instance where you might want to share where angels have helped somebody in that circumstance? Or you might be able to speak to the world at large, that what they have that for a reason, perhaps, or give them some sort of hope there.
So personally, I mean, I struggled with depression on and off I realized my whole life, you know.
Oh, I had no idea. See?
Yeah, and I
never think that.
I have, and it's usually when I'm trying to really fit inside of some kind of box that I feel that I'm really cutting myself off from really tapping into my own truth and whatever that is, instead of trying to fit in this little box of where I think I should be, instead of like tearing down all those walls and just saying, no, this is just how I feel, and being okay with that. And I feel like we are really tapping into some really deep truth within us, especially when I'm dealing with depression. I feel myself tapping into some deep truth within me that is that I maybe like pushed down, or that ancestors never really were able to look at certain truths in their life. Like, I had a grandmother that wanted to speak up. She had similar gifts that I have, and she never spoke about it openly. She
repressed,
covered everything up, yeah, and she was really embarrassed about it because her family didn't accept it. And so she found really secretive ways to share experiences that she had, but she never openly said, this is, you know, I've had these experiences my whole life. And so for me, every time I'm trying to suppress those gifts, I can feel this sadness or this like depression coming over me, because I'm going back into that same space that like my grandmother and many, many, many others in my family line did that same thing in some way. And so, but I can feel my loved ones around me, you know, ready to help when I'm ready to listen, and start to make some changes in my life so that I can apply, you know, what they have learned and what I feel like I need to do, which is really connect to my truth and start speaking up. And I don't need to fit in a box. you know, or I don't need to fit into this certain role. And but usually it comes down to that it's separation. Like I feel separated, or I feel different from someone else, or I feel cut off from God because I'm not measuring up to like where I should be, or what my own like personal beliefs have been about myself or about other family members, or what I should be doing here on the earth. But instead really connecting to truth, that's when I feel like really connected. And when I'm putting myself in a box, I feel like that depression like setting in again. So for me, that's how it feels. I know every single person's different because they have their own experiences, you know.
That puts the things into context. It really does. It makes me realize that, I mean, we could do a whole, like, this is me been interviewing you the whole time, but okay.
Awesome, yeah, I like it.
So, with such a unique gift, I'm so grateful that you've been able to share it with me, and you've been able to bless me directly and indirectly with directly with my family members, and just to hear some stories from others, you know. Again, going back to, I travel a lot, and you go into airports, and people some people put the wall up, I don't want to talk, and other people, it's like, I'm never going to see this person again. So yeah, why not? Why don't I just connect with them? And it's like, I have awesome conversations sometimes with people. And so if you were on the, I guess, if you could connect with everybody on planet Earth, and you're on that airplane ride, and sharing a message with everybody it's never about you, that's what I love about it, but about what you know, the gift that you have that would help them. What are a few, like, I know it's all different for every circumstance and every person, but what are some eternal truths that you've noticed from angels that communicated to you over the years that could be applied to everybody? And you stand up on the plane and say, I have to tell you guys this is something that's going to help you when we land. When you land and go out there in the world, please listen to these 3 points, or whatever it is. Is that a fair question?
No, that's good. I like it. I want people to know that our spirits live on. We lived before we came here. Our spirits live on, and we're here to learn how to love more unconditionally. And that's really what we're trying to learn how to love ourselves and learn how to love other people more unconditionally. Unconditional love is like the key to this life. And just feel more free to just be who you are, and lose the judgment, like drop the judgment against other people, because that's what separates us. The mission for every single one of us is to have more unconditional love for ourselves, for others. So we all have a similar mission, and then we have another mission on top of that, which our spirit said, I want to come down to this earth, I want to do this and this and this. I want to do certain things. But bottom line, we're here to learn how to love and serve people, and
that's so cool.
Drop the fear, lose the fear.
So love to connect, lose the fear, and don't judge. And then you snuck that in there. You didn't think I didn't hear it. But I want to do this, this, and this from our premortal life to here. That's a whole nother episode. I want to learn and talk to you about how we can find out what I want to do this, this, and this are for us. So because I know a lot of things myself. I want to do this, this, and this, but there's a lot of people that don't know that, and there are a lot of people that are like me that want to do this and this and this, but are afraid to do it. I want to talk about that at another time.
I'm grateful that you're able to come on today and we can have these conversations, because
thank you.
I just feel like it's going to just help others to be able to connect to their own truth by just listening to what we discussed today. And I'm going to get you Angels 101, because Angels 101 is all about learning about the basics, just what I've learned about angels and how they're helping us in our daily life, and how we can connect with them personally. And it really is about you having your own personal connection, whatever that looks like for you. No rules, but just teaching you how to really connect.
I'm excited. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. And we were able to just discuss so many amazing topics. And I hope that there's something you can take away from this.